Again, college, there's a lot of money at stake between tuition, financial aid, and rent. And scammers go where the money is. Consumer reporter Jen Pachano is working with the Cuyahoga County Scam Squad to warn students about the trending scams now targeting them.
When college students get scammed, higher education meets high stakes. There's a lot of money at risk. And currently there are financial aid scammers looking for access to students' personal information through FAFSA forms or free applications for federal student aid. Sammy Noctegal with the FTC says scammers are charging money, offering to fill out your forms and promising better results.
So not only are you giving money to a scammer for something that you can do, but also you don't know what they're going to say on that application. And if they lie about the assets and everything on that form, you can get into really big trouble for that. And we're talking $20,000 in fines and potentially jail time.
There are also scholarship scams, charging fees for pre-approvals and guaranteeing you'll get a scholarship. Scammers are even running scholarship workshops that work kind of like high-pressure timeshare meetings. Noctegal says if your phone rings and the person on the other line says you have unpaid tuition that needs to be paid over the phone right away or you'll be dropped from classes, don't fall for it.
That's not how universities work. Not a legitimate university is not going to kick you out of class like that. So take a minute. Also know, what are actually the steps for how am I supposed to be paying? Where am I supposed to go for that? And having that kind of in your mind so when something weird happens like that, you're able to detect, that's fishy.
And don't click on links they send you. Instead, seek out your school's websites or physical office to determine if you owe anything and how to safely pay. Now, when you're a student, it can be tempting to log on to free or public Wi-Fi, but you don't want to do that to download free games or music or apps because that could have keystroke logging malware on it. And be sure not to do any banking, shopping, or bill paying with that public Wi-Fi. Finally, Noctegal says avoid diploma mills.
This is a scam where they're promising just like get your degree super, super fast or with actually no coursework. Oh, just your life experience. That's not real. Real legitimate degrees require work. They require an investment in your time and your energy and your money. So don't be tempted to pay for something that's going to be a degree that's not going to actually have any worth.
Just because a website has edu at the end doesn't make it an accredited school. The Department of Education's College Navigator site can help students steer the right course and avoid an expensive lesson. Jen Pachano, 19 News.